It's the helpless damsel in distress from the first movie is now an experienced badass that don't give no shits about your talk back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
That's me.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
That's you. What?
From Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hello.
So we're gonna kind of continue the road trip, although.
But where else can we go?
You can't. Well, there are many places we could go on Earth, but we are not. We can't go on Earth. There's no road where we're going. We don't need roads, right?
Space.
Yes, we're going to space.
Space.
Space, the final frontier.
Space, says the introduction to the Hitchhiker's Guide, is big. Really big.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Yes.
Spaceship.
My spaceship. So yeah, obviously lots of we're going to be covering a lot of the big movies today that are in space.
The franchises, if you will.
Yeah, a few franchises. We don't have to go over every single individual movie, but obviously Star Wars comes to mind. Not any other franchise that has a bunch of movies and a TV show. Not that one. That one doesn't come to mind at all. But Star Wars, it's good God, how many movies are there?
There are 11, including the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And so it'll be 12 by the end of this year.
You know, there are some militant Star Wars fans out there. Now, I'm not talking about the angry ones who bully people off. I'm talking about the fans who love it, who are militant about the Clone Wars being part of canon. And like, I even saw a tweet about like, hey, here's a new character that's going to be in a future upcoming, and like people were all upset because it's not a new character. It's some obscure character from Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, guys, I didn't know who it was. I ain't never seen that shit. I'm still a Star Wars fan.
Yep.
Like, there's a sort of a encyclopedia completionist kind of mindset here. I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
But I do like Star Wars.
I do, too. They actually, on May the 4th.
Me too!
What?
You're going to say you watched the marathon.
I did. Oh, yeah, I did, actually. And I watched A New Hope all the way through for the first time in, like, a long time. Because you watch that so many times when you're a kid and you just internalize it. I've got a friend that can literally walk away from the TV, go make a sandwich, and play the dialogue in his head and come back and be right on point. I've seen that happen, actually. But, like, watching it again all the way through, it's still just as magical, man. Like, and I totally believe, by the way, we'll get to that movie in a little bit, but Han Solo's character in Solo, a Star Wars movie, or sort of story or whatever, totally jives with the New Hope Han Solo. I think it's a perfect continuation of that character. But I paid more attention to Harrison Ford in this watching than I had in a while. He's excellent in that.
I actually watched, I'm pretty sure some TV station either did a marathon over 2 days or the same marathon 2 days in a row. But over May the 4th, over that weekend, I watched the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and Force Awakens.
Oh, really?
So I've seen all of those quite recently.
Wow.
And I'm, for the most part, and it's the first time since sinning them that I've watched these, and I don't even think watching them while sinning them is a true watch.
Right.
But they all continue to cement their place for me.
Yep.
Empire continues to stand out to me as the one with the most meat. And, the prequels are just... And honestly, even the original trilogy that is special edition now is frustrating for me.
Yeah, me too.
Every moment that some tinker from Lucas from, what was it, 1998, 97?
97.
Yeah. I can't stand any of that shit. Drives me crazy. I feel bad for people who have never gotten to see the versions without that stuff, because I think it stands out even to those people. Because some of it looks like unfinished CG.
I know. A lot of it does.
I still have the original video cassettes.
Yeah.
The non
That's awesome.
Do you seriously?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a VCR?
Do you want me to show them to you?
No. But do you have a VCR?
No. Everybody's like, yeah, great interest. No, don't want to see it. I don't have a VCR currently, but to play those originals, I may just get one at some point. Just buy one off of eBay.
It probably costs like $350.
Nah, I doubt it.
Do we know? Is there anything definitive yet on, like, now that Lucas has sold the rights? Did he, like, was it still stipulated that everything except those, or now that Disney has bought Fox, can we not eventually get the OG versions on some kind of?
I don't know.
Who's holding that up?
I don't know. It's got to be him because I think
you sell them now, you sell to everyone.
Yeah.
Right? How bad is the demand for that?
I don't know.
I think everybody who owns any Star Wars movies would buy the original ones.
Is there really a thing that he can control on Star Wars anymore?
That's my question, is that they are not selling the original non-special edition version.
Yeah, but
once upon a time, he said, I will never release them again when he still had the rights.
Yeah.
I'm asking, can't, Bob Iger go down there and snip and give us what we want?
Yeah.
I don't know. It is interesting that they haven't come out with those originals when they could make so much money doing it.
I think the one that I watched on TV, whatever channel that was, I think that was a non-special edition.
I bet you money it wasn't.
Because I don't remember the stupid Jabba the Hutt scene where, like, it's CG.
Yeah, in the hangar with the Falcon.
I don't think that was in the version that I saw.
The version I saw.
Oh, maybe
Let me ask you this question. This may sound stupid. How much of a character is space in Star Wars?
I think it gets progressively spacier. Especially
not as much as a character as it is in Star Trek.
Oh,
that's what I'm sort of getting at, right? Like Star Trek, there always felt like there's a sense of this is where we're at, this is how far it's going to take us, we're going to another world, but the space part always seemed to matter, and in Star Wars it doesn't. It's we're at this place now. Oh, we're at this place now. It's really more the planets inside the space that really matter. There are some space battles, but there's no sense of like, wonder or anything about where we're traveling right now.
Right, it's just hit the hyperspeed, we'll be there in the next scene.
Yeah, and I think in the new iteration, Force Awakens and Last Jedi, I think it's gotten a lot more centered in space. Part of which is because Starkiller Base was floating in space. Part of which is that they didn't have like a rebel stronghold like they do in the in the original trilogy, right? And Last Jedi, it's basically all in space except for the stupid fucking casino planet.
Yeah.
Right? And of course the salt planet later on, but like they're tracking them through space and fuel and all that bullshit.
Yeah,
right?
I mean it seems more palpable in Last Jedi than most Star Wars. The physical space that they're in matters, but there's just never been a sense to me that we're in this amazing part of space that you can only see here and now, and there's no worry about the distance except in Last Jedi with the gas. But yeah, it just never. It seems almost incidental. It's like we've been traveling space for so long at this point that the actual space is not an important part of Star Wars.
Yeah, all the action set pieces. I mean, Hoth, Tatooine, Endor, Dagobah, like all this.
That's racist.
I had the exact same thought when I just said that. But yeah, all those things happen on a planet, and I guess they had to like ground it literally in reality to make it relatable to viewers.
Yeah, I don't know how many movies actually make space a character. I think Gravity is a good one.
Yeah.
And it may not even be that important. It's just something that occurred to me while we were talking about this. Since, when we were on the American road trip, the idea of where it was set was an important kind of thing in many of them, but some of them not so much. It's like what was it? Daddy's home is in New Orleans. That has nothing to do with anything, right?
Yep.
Still the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah. So when you say cement where they are, you say Empire Strikes Back still comes up. aces.
Yeah, and A New Hope after that. Return of the Jedi, I still like more than most, but it's the most harmless of the original trilogy. The prequels all suck.
Really?
Like, for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, all right, so Phantom Menace is overall garbage, but it's also got Duel of the Fates.
I can't have these conversations anymore. I can't do it.
What do you mean?
I feel like you're asking me to fuck a bear by telling me, hey, at least it has a vagina. Like, Duel of the Fates is awesome. That doesn't make the movie awesome. The movie is trash. With a couple of good scenes.
My point, bear fucker. My point is that I think I'm not defending Phantom Menace. Jar Jar is awful. The gun whole thing is pretty awful. The pod race, I think, is awful. Now, a lot of people love the pod race. I think if you took those out, you'd have a very good Star Wars movie. Now, and when you think about it, those aren't like huge plot points in the entire movie.
Well, they are for Lucas. He's trying to build the mythos of Anakin being gifted.
Yeah.
And you can do that with a few lines of dialogue. When you do that anyway, when Mom says, well, there was no father. You just came out.
Yeah.
Just plop, there's a baby.
Doing the dishes.
And midi-chlorines. And, I mean, there's a chance of a good movie if you cut that stuff out. But I still think the geopolitical trade federation Senate crap was always destined to bog down every single one of these movies.
I agree. I don't mind it that much, but I don't think it's like the worst part of those movies.
No.
I think Jar Jar and the CGI and stuff
Well,
like that.
and by the way, there's always been a justification for a character like Jar Jar. I was like, well, the kids loved it. Fuck you.
Yeah.
The kids love everything.
Yes,
okay?
they do.
You can put any fucking thing in front of a kid, and they're like, "Oh, it's the best."
Angry Birds 2.
Yeah, exactly. When they made the original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and all these, they didn't dumb it down for kids.
Mm-hmm.
They made a feature that was for everybody, but it had some adult themes into it and everything, and kids enjoyed it even then.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't have to dumb it down, and just because kids love it is not a good reason. I hate that.
Well, there's no reason for Jar Jar to exist within the movie, right? I mean, you could say that, C-3PO is comic relief and all that stuff, but he functions as a key plot element in the original trilogy, and actually in the later.
And he's
movies,
also
too.
in Phantom Menace, so we don't need another.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Jar Jar does figure just stupidly into the plot, and I believe, is it Attack of the Clones where he's the proxy?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we'll just do whatever the Emperor says,
Yep.
and since Emperor Natalie isn't here, we can just we can get our laws passed.
That's right. Yeah.
It's joyless. It's joyless for me, except for Duel of the Fates, and I like the pod race scene in Phantom Menace, and I like parts of Revenge of the Sith too. I think much like I think that the ending of Revenge of the Sith is right. Just getting how we got to that point wasn't right.
Yeah.
That's it's a shame. I remember watching Revenge of the Sith saying, man, I really love this. Too bad the journey here was not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I the reason that I'm saying this is I think I like the prequels better than most people.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like Attack of the Clones. I think that's a fine movie. It's got less of that the Jar Jar stuff.
No, I'm kidding.
And it's got that great that Count Dooku scene at the end, where he's fighting both of the Anakin and Obi-Wan. So I don't know. I think there's more to like in those movies than there is to dislike for me. And yes, Hayden Christensen's performance is awful. Natalie Portman's performance, especially in the first one, is fucking terrible.
Liam Neeson is awful.
Oh, what?
He makes everyone into a wax puppet.
What?
Lucas can't. He deadens any creative art inside of an actor.
I like Liam Neeson's in this movie.
deadens any art inside of an actor.
I'm just saying, Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor comes off better than Natalie Portman, but neither one of them are good in
It's
that
true.
movie.
Well,
It's true,
it's pretty
yeah.
clear that Natalie Portman was 18 and had no interest in Star Wars whatsoever.
Well, she was dating Moby.
Oh my God.
That sure was fun to watch because, like, at the end of the first day, it was like, wow, he's doubling down on this. The second day, wow, he's tripling down on this. Third day, full apology.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like, were you drunk for the
excoriated,
first
too.
2
Yeah.
days? How
Yeah.
did that happen?
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it is really amazing how, because we've talked about how Hayden Christensen is great in Shattered Glass. So we know he has range. Natalie Portman is like all time one of the best
Yeah.
actresses that you could see. It had to have been tough to tone them down so
I mean,
much.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, I thought he was fine.
He's boring. Ian McDermott's having more fun than anybody else in these movies.
Samuel L. Jackson is toned down.
Samuel L. Jackson is wooden.
Well, yeah.
Everyone is turned to wood.
It's, and there's so many things in there too. I mean, yeah, you watch the Red Letter Media stuff on those prequels and everything. There's, it's so true how so many of these times that they act, they're going up against these green screens throughout. It's probably hard to come up with any kind of humanity when that's constantly in your face.
Yeah.
CG backgrounds. You're not really in the sense that you're not really in the place. You don't have the sense of the place that you're in. You're talking to actors on a set and you think, you're supposed to be in this big, huge palace or something. I remember George Lucas daring people to figure out what was CGI when those movies came out. He thought these movies were going to be so big it would usher in digital projection immediately.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted everybody to have digital projectors when these movies came out, and then it was like, well, not everybody has the money you do, George. We can't just do that just because Star Wars is coming out. But yeah, I remember him saying, yeah, nobody's going to be able to notice.
Oh my God. I mean, Yoda is not good in this, even as it goes along. I mean, we're getting into Revenge of the Sith was what year? 2003? 2005. And I mean, CGI had come a long way. This is after Lord of the Rings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've saw what Gollum could be done, right? And he's not looking good.
Yeah, but you have also two different effects houses too. One was is it Vita or Weta?
Weta.
I
say Weta. So I'm right.
Okay, I agree. But
I did want to say about Yoda. He also gets like I think we sinned this in the Sins videos, but it drives me crazy as you go through the prequel trilogy. By the third one, his Yoda speak is so off the charts. Like, can't even one sentence say without doing it.
yeah.
Meaning that he wasn't doing that in Phantom Menace?
Meaning, well, no.
Doing it less?
I guess I'm comparing that whole trilogy to the original trilogy where he did it now and then and it was a quirk. Whereas it became this thing like, maybe it's just the fact that Yoda talks more in those movies.
Oh, that's
and
true.
literally, apparently the character can't say a sentence with the words in order. But it gets to a point where it feels like we're just kind of winking at the fact that Yoda talks funny.
Let's not. We also can't forget, because now we're re-sinning this movie. We also can't forget like how the movie has always been vague about how the Force works and everything, and it's so weird that someone like Yoda can't figure out that the Emperor is doing all these evil things. Like, has he got some sort of like cloaking device that's going on with his Force, where it's like, I can't tell that this dude's evil for some reason. And all these bad things that are happening that could really only lead back to him.
Yeah.
They're just kind of dunces all the way through these.
And they wave it away with like, he's just hidden himself from them. Or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come the fuck on. Like, again, original trilogy, they're like pulling up to the moon where the Ewoks are, and Luke is like, oh, fuck, there's Jedi or Sith around. I shouldn't have come. I've endangered the mission. He can sense them that far away.
Yeah.
And it's fucking Darth Vader he's sensing.
Right. And for so long we had heard about these Jedi dying out, and they're wiped out in one montage.
It was kind of montagey.
Yeah.
it sure was. Yeah,
And I'm like supposed to be excited because she's wearing a backpack.
She's wearing a backpack.
Because there's like 100 lightsabers on screen.
Yeah.
And it's instead, that's, again, there are parts of that moment that do kind of work, but once we get to those overhead shots, it's just noise.
It is. And you've been built up. I mean, we could fix these prequels if we really wanted to.
Yeah,
right?
I think Topher Grace did.
Yeah, he re-edited
Did he
it,
re-edit all of them or into one movie?
I think he edited 3 of them into one movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I want to see that. He actually played those like for friends and family,
He
didn't
did.
he? Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, and of course by copyright law, he can't show that to people.
Yeah. I mean, in the original trilogy, they built up the Jedi and this society and how almost Star Trek-y it is, right? Like post, what is it, like post-need or post, not concerned with wealth and things like that. You could really show that in a different way and show the Jedi, like, how they live their lives and stuff like that, and why Anakin doing what he did is such a deviation. But we didn't get that. We got like a saccharine... I don't understand, because when I went back and watched those original trilogy from the same mind, how different they were and how much heart they had and how much story they had.
Yeah.
There were more no people too on the set.
Yeah.
Who shaped a lot of the things. Like, they didn't let Lucas go willy-nilly, and once he had all the money and power, there was nobody there to stop him from saying, hey, this is kind of stupid, or this is a bad idea, or anything like that.
Or, hey, Han really did shoot first.
Right. Nobody there to tell him no, because you're either going to be excommunicated from Hollywood, or just in general, just a non-entity at that point.
Has he had anything to do, besides Lucasfilm, has he had anything to do with 2008 on, like from Clone Wars on?
I think Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, yeah.
He was involved with Clone Wars?
Yeah, I think so.
Don't you hate Clone Wars?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people who love the series that came on
the series
Adult
is great.
Swim, like that movie because of what it sets up. But I thought it was dumb.
You thought it was dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. It's so Lucasfilm put out Clone Wars, right? So it is technically canon, right?
Yeah.
And it happens in between episodes 2 and 3?
Yeah, something like that.
Why did they do this? Like, why did they go animated? Like, it's just such a weird
I think it's because
decision.
it's just easier to just go ahead and do that rather than making a full-fledged sci-fi show with good sets and effects and everything. It's easier just to animate it, I think.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not even talking about the show. I'm talking about the movie itself. It's just such a weird deviation.
Oh, the movie, yeah. I think it was a sort of like, hey, this is a thing. We're trying to build a universe here.
Yeah.
And I remember that movie coming out too, and I was like, I couldn't figure out if it was going to do anything or not. Like, when we had trailers for it, this is still Star Wars, but it was animated.
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't do anything.
It didn't do anything?
It was like a very minor, like, they definitely didn't want that kind of money.
Oh, okay.
They wanted way more than that.
Huh.
And
he, again, it's just Lucasfilm, but he hasn't really been super involved with this most recent trilogy, right?
I don't think he's involved at all.
I think he gave them ideas, and, and he was lamenting that nobody wanted his ideas.
I think outside of A New Hope and Empire, I think Force Awakens is my third favorite Star Wars movie.
I would agree. That was my one thing I was going to get to before we moved on from Star Wars, is that in rewatching Force Awakens a couple weeks ago, I really like it. Now,
it's great.
I think the only real knock is a knock that I think is worthy, is that it is very New Hope-y. But I also think we stretch a little bit at times to make it more New Hope-y than it really is.
Really, just the end is New Hope-y, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say gifted kid on desert planet. Again, if you wanted to go down this road, I can get the couch tomato on it, and we can find all the similarities. But I really enjoy it. I think a lot of it is Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. Both their chemistry together, that scene where they get off the planet, both figuring out how to fly and shoot and whatnot, that's as good as Star Wars gets, that scene right there.
And the effects are the polar opposite of the prequels. Like, the effects look practical. The Falcon looks practical.
There are practical. I mean, it's mostly practical.
It's mostly practical, right?
Well, fucking BB-8 is practical.
Even the thing that she eats is practical. That rising bread thing, is a practical thing.
I mean, it looks so fucking great. And I mean, the big set pieces like the fallen Jedi in the desert and all that stuff. The first time that you see the Falcon coming out of that tarp is spine tingling.
Yeah.
Like, he gets J.J. Abrams, I don't think is mentioned enough as like one of the great directors in America right now, because anytime he steps in, we'll talk about Star Trek in a little bit. Anytime he steps in, a movie gets better. Anytime he steps out, maybe not so much.
Well, we're going to find out with Rise of the Skywalker here. That's probably going to cement his reputation one way or the other.
And I think he's going to stick the landing.
I agree. I really like his work. I just don't think he's ever had an audience and critical A+ hit across the board. I think the closest you can come is Star Trek 2000.
Yeah, I mean,
or Force Awakens, maybe. But unlike.
It's not like Denis Villeneuve or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an Inception or a Prestige on his resume. He's got Super 8, which is really good and really enjoyable. And I love his move. Again, it sounds like I'm tearing the guy down. I'm trying to agree with you. I think he is one of the better directors working today, and anytime I see his name attached to something, I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, it's overstating to say that he saved the Mission Impossible franchise, but he certainly did exceed the mark from John Woo, and really like put it back into a more realistic sort of universe instead of this hyper stylized doves flying out and slow motion type of shit. So I love me some J.J. Abrams, and I fucking love Force Awakens so much. It gives me chills every time I watch it. And I guess we should mention Last Jedi. I actually watched Last Jedi with my son for the first time that he had seen it a couple weeks ago. I got to tell you, man, I like that movie more every time that I see it.
How many times have you seen it?
Probably about 4 or 5 now.
I think I've only seen it the one time in theaters and then the one time when we synced it. So I probably need to watch it again.
There's some shit in there. The whole casino thing is bullshit. And the whole fuel thing is bullshit. But the stuff around that, I dig.
The whole not telling Oscar Isaac thing is bullshit.
I still don't understand
This does make no sense. None.
Yeah.
They don't even say, like, she doesn't even later say why she kept it. Like, we said it before. Like, if they had just said, we think there's a mole on the ship, that's all they had to say.
Yeah.
But she just seems to be like, well, you didn't need to know.
Yeah.
So fuck you.
What does bother me, and there's a lot of stuff that I do love about this movie, but what does bother me is the fact that Phasma and Finn continue their battle to the death after the fucking ship has been destroyed.
I know, exactly. You gotta kill him. He's that guy who got away.
But there is some great stuff. I really love the ending on the Salt Planet. I love what they did with Luke. I don't even mind what they did with Space Ghost Leia.
Okay.
Knowing that the Force is such a dynamic concept in these movies, I can totally buy it. And I can totally buy Luke's ending. And it is cool seeing it from, this perspective of knowing what happens and seeing how different he looks on the Salt Planet than he does on the training.
I ragged on the midichlorians dialogue. Would it be so hard to have a line of dialogue somewhere in this new trilogy where Luke looks at Yoda and says, boy, the Force sure has gotten stronger, hasn't it? And Yoda's like, yeah, new things we can all do, or however he says it. And
no, it wouldn't. I don't think I
as
need
opposed
that.
to
I like the surprise of it.
The surprise that she can come back to life?
Yes. I like the surprise that he can force protect
That's
himself.
too big a leap for me. I need gradual steps.
Considering how many have died and just,
Why didn't fucking Obi-Wan come back to life?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Why didn't Yoda come back to life? Why is she the first one that can ever do it? Now, maybe
like
the
her
Force...
corporeal body, basically.
I don't know. I'm just saying a lot of the problems I have with Last Jedi could be solved with a couple lines of dialogue.
That's true. I don't know. I see what you're saying, and it certainly wouldn't detract from anything for me. I don't think I need it, especially with that whammy of the ending. Like, I wouldn't want that telegraphed at all to me.
Well, I have a strong feeling that's not going to ultimately be what it was sold to us as.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't think Luke is going to be in Rise of the Skywalker purely as a Force ghost.
Really?
If Leia can come back to dead in the middle of space, why do we have to believe he's really gone?
The difference between Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke is that they became one with the Force, though. Like, they disappeared, right? They didn't get violently murdered. I mean, we've seen Darth Maul come back in Solo, right? You know, I think, I again, see what you're saying, but I think when we see characters disappear and become one with the Force and that kind of thing, it's different than being violently or otherwise killed. And I think that's how Leia could come back.
I'll bet you $5 that Luke is not just a ghost in this next movie.
I would love to see him. I
don't know how they're going to explain it, but I have a very strong feeling he's going to be a physical form.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I cannot wait for this final thing. What's weird about Rise of the Skywalker is that I don't know if I've seen less build up to a Star Wars movie than I'm seeing now. Like, people are kind of looking forward to it, but I think the oversaturation with Rogue One and Solo and the disappointment of Last Jedi, I think people are just kind of like, yeah, I'll go see it because it's Star Wars.
People are still Marvel and Game of Thrones drunk, though.
That's true.
There's too much of that going on right now. Once it gets closer, you're gonna have some palpable feeling for that movie, and it'll be interesting to see. I think for sure the oversaturation and the bad will generated by Last Jedi will dent this one, even if it's good. So it won't be shooting for all time records or anything like that. But I think there will be a huge response for this, especially since it's supposedly back, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We never know how these are going to go when we start them. So we're in space. We just talked about Star Wars for about 45 minutes there, I think. So on to another loaded series, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Which I know Jeremy can probably talk about more than I've seen all the movies except for Insurrection.
No, you're not missing anything.
And I've seen some of the old episodes of Star Trek and Star Trek Next Generation, and that's it. I know that, today, did they release a trailer for this Picard thing that's coming out on CBS?
I saw a teaser trailer a few days ago.
Okay.
That may have been what you've seen going around. I'm pretty upset about the way they're choosing to do this CBS like streaming service where we're going to take our best properties and hide them behind a paywall.
Yeah, fuck you, man.
Well, and honestly, it's probably going to be the death of CBS's network ratings, because if they're going to hide their best shows behind a paywall online service and NBC's not.
Is Discovery good, by the way?
I haven't seen it.
From what you've heard?
I haven't seen it. Now, from what I heard, what they did at the end of the second season, did we talk about this already? Is
I don't think so.
Bad fucking ass.
Really?
Like, tune out for 60 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled. I haven't even seen the show. But they do like a 990-year time jump into the future at the end of the second season.
Ooh.
So the third season is going to be anything goes 1,000 years into the future.
That's awesome.
That's badass.
That's wild. That takes some fucking garbage can.
So I want to watch it.
Nuts.
I'm still in this place where I'm not ready to pay CBS money yet, and I may find other means of watching. But the Picard trailer looks good. I'm a huge Next Generation fan. A lot of the reason is Picard. Larange, our buddy Larange, is in a funny place because he started watching the old Star Trek show. He'd never seen it. Loved it.
Yeah.
Fucking loved it. And then I talked him into watching Next Generation. And he finished season 1, and he's like, I see the potential, but I'm still Team Captain Kirk for now. And I was like, Picard is going to win you over.
Yeah.
And he starts season 2, and I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot to tell you that they replaced the Doctor for season 2 with this cranky old lady that I hate, and she's there a whole season. But season 3, Beverly Crusher comes back. And anyway, I'm waiting for the moment when he goes, you're right. Like, it's going to be most of season 3 that finally grabs him when that show hits its stride.
So how many seasons did it go?
7.
So season 3 is really where, because I'm like you, I've watched a bunch of Next Generation episodes, but not like in order, and I never watched them when they first came out or something like that. But
I've seen some like major episodes of Next Generation, but I haven't seen like, I haven't even seen probably a quarter of the series.
Well, and we didn't have cable. And a friend of mine had taped all of these episodes as they aired. And so my last 2-3 years of high school, every evening I would put in one of these Next Generation tapes and watch 3 or 4 episodes. I probably went through the whole collection of tapes 5 or 6 times in my entire life.
Wow.
I've seen all of this, but we're talking movies. I did just watch yesterday Star Trek Into Darkness.
Okay.
I'm willing to defend that movie.
I like that movie a lot.
I think the movie's only real problems. It has a little bit of I don't want to enditis, but mostly it's paying too much step-by-step homage to Wrath of Khan, where we have to have the flip of Kirk and Spock at the end, but it's the same basic scene, and we've got Khan, but we try to lie to you for half the movie and tell you it's not Khan. But man, if you just strip that away, if you just pretend like that's not a problem, this shit is so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. Like
start to finish.
John Cho gets to shine when he does that threatening thing, and McCoy's like, remind me never to piss you off. Carl Urban is fucking great.
Yes, he is.
Really, in hindsight, and I was one of those that was pretty hard on this movie for basically being Wrath of Khan at times, but I don't think it is. I think it's really, really fun. And plus, these movies look so fucking great. I don't feel like I'm watching CG when I'm watching these movies. Like, give me the J.J. Abrams sparkly Apple Store Enterprise bridge every day of the week. Like, I love it.
Apple Store.
Shiny.
Totally an Apple Store.
Everyone's beautiful. even Spock.
Yeah.
Now, I just think it looks great. I love that new ship that Peter Weller is driving that has like faster than warp capabilities and like the sound it makes when it's flying, and God, I love it. I
even love all the stuff at the Federation headquarters where he gets attacked and all that stuff.
It works better than I think it used to think it did.
Yeah.
And the only main gripe is that it's paying too much lip service to Wrath of Khan.
Totally.
Star Trek started off their movies in 1979, probably in response to all the science fiction that had taken off at this point. Star Wars had become big. The series ended in 66, 67, somewhere around there.
Oh, was it that long?
Yeah.
Before? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it had been forever since anything Star Trek had come out. So in 1979, same year Alien came out. They came out with this, here's how we're different. We're cerebral and everything. And it's the first movie is so boring.
Is it really?
Yes.
I haven't seen it in forever. I know we send it.
Is this
about a year or two
Is
ago.
this the one where they find out it's the old USA rocket?
Yeah, it's Voyager.
Yeah, it's Voyager.
V'ger.
Was that one of that old sci-fi nugget where things have been like covered up or something, and the new race has decided to go like Planet of the Apes and all that,
or fucking Veers in Captain Marvel.
Yeah. It's sort of they go into this old ship and I can't even remember. I've seen this movie 3 times and I don't think I can ever remember the damn plot of this thing.
It's some kind of alien entity that interacted with the vessel and took its name and could kill them and might kill them, but they talked their way out of it at the end, basically.
Oh, okay. Is this a direct continuation of the series?
In the sense that it's the same crew and the same ship and the same timeline, yes.
Okay. Because they do reference previous movies from this point forward, like in Khan, and then obviously with Search for Spock and all that.
The point is that it was trying to find its way back home or something.
Yeah,
of that
it's like
nature.
a little kid alien entity or something. Yeah.
And then we get what may be considered still the best of it. The Wrath of Khan comes out after that. Khan had been in an earlier episode of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he has his own big screen adventure. Ricardo Montalban, who's known for Fantasy Island at this point. But man, the Wrath of Khan still holds up.
It does actually, and it's tense as hell. I have come to a place where I think Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country is the best of the original cast.
Oh, I love that one too.
But Wrath of Khan probably has higher stakes, better tension building. It's a little more cinematically shot. It really holds up. What's surprising is how short that shit is.
Mhm.
You watch Wrath of Khan.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's under 2 hours.
Wow.
But
That's
yeah,
a lot of
I
stuff
also,
for
by
a
the
movie.
way, we're talking about this age of fans having entitled opinions about movies, and we're going to start a petition to have you redo Game of Thrones, or we're going to try and review bomb Captain Marvel on Rotten Tomatoes. Somebody dug up and posted on Twitter an open letter to the studio that a bunch of people had paid for before Wrath of Khan came out, and it was Trek heads, and it was literally, we've heard rumors that you plan on killing Spock at the end of this movie. That would be a very bad decision, and we will not support your franchise moving forward if you do that. And I'm like, wow, we've always been terrible.
Always done that.
We've always been terrible as human beings. It's just the internet makes it feel new.
And guess what happens? They make The Search for Spock after that, which is an awful fucking movie.
You didn't like that movie at all?
Hell no.
Oh man, I didn't know.
No, it's so like I hate that. First off, that great send off. I know Spock is a great character. You don't want him to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate the way they bring him back. And I hate that there's this
A lot of spiritual mumbo jumbo.
Yeah,
there is.
And this whole it's a thing that can make planets or whatever is
The Genesis weapon.
the Genesis weapon.
Yeah.
It's the Klingons want it.
Yes, it's Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd,
Christopher
that's
Lloyd.
right.
Shatner has like an all-time Shatner moment. Is this the one where his son dies?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has that my son.
Yeah.
He like falls on the floor writhing and shit. It's
Yeah.
fucking
The
crazy.
only good thing about this movie is that they end up in possession of a Klingon bird of prey. That's their vessel at the end of this movie.
Right.
And that's fun to juxtapose that crew into that ship, especially in the next adventure, which is bonkers and batshit. It's crazy. But I always liked that somewhere in here they ended up in a Klingon warship for a movie and a half.
Yeah, the voyage home is it's batshit insane, and it was a huge box office hit.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I think it was number 2 of 1987.
Wow.
So you had Leonard Nimoy directed 3 Men and a Baby, which was the number 1 movie of that year.
Wow.
And then I think you had Star Trek Voyage Home was, I may be wrong on that, but I think he had 2 in the top 10.
Speaking of which, who generally directs these movies? I don't remember.
Well, Nimoy directed
Search for Spock?
4.
Yeah, he directed. Okay, so maybe I'm getting something.
Shatner
confused.
did 5. Cliff Eidelman did Wrath of Khan and 6, Undiscovered Country.
really?
I don't know who did 3. May have been Nimoy. And I don't
Cliff
know who did
Eidelman?
1. Cliff Eidelman.
What else has he done?
Wait, that might have been that might have been the composer.
Nimoy did 3. Robert Wise did 1. And Nicholas Meyer did.
And he did
Wrath of
2
Khan.
and 6. Cliff Eidelman was the composer on either 6 or 2. I just got him mixed up with Nicholas Meyer.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you don't really hear much about the directors of these movies until the reboot, basically, right?
Yeah. Well, that's really the first time they went and got a big director, because Jonathan Frakes did First Contact.
Yeah, he did First Contact and Insurrection, I think.
Maybe. He did a lot of the episodes.
Oh,
He's
okay.
directing
That's why.
Picard, a lot of the Picard episodes.
That's why. Star Trek 4 was in 86. I thought it was in 87 for some reason. Star Trek 4 was top 5 in 1986.
Wow.
But
We love this movie, right?
Star Trek 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's insane.
mean, it probably doesn't hold up all that great, right?
Well, it's definitely like an 80s environmental
Yeah,
save the whales
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing, like literally. George and Gracie, that's the name of the whales.
Yeah.
I've probably watched this movie 30 times in my life. It's the funniest Star
Yeah,
Trek
it's a
movie
comedy.
by far. It is. And we get Spock gets to be even more fish out of water because he's not only not human, he's also still not Spock yet. And so he hears a cuss word, he says a cuss word, and he's trying to learn how to interact. It's
What
very
is the
funny.
deal here? So he's still
He put his consciousness in McCoy's brain.
right.
So when he was rebirthed by the Genesis weapon on the Genesis planet,
Yeah.
a new Spock grew, but didn't have his whatever the Vulcan word for chi is. And so they had to go back to Vulcan and do that ceremony to take it out of McCoy and put it back in. But he was still off. It took him a while for him to get back to his
That
self.
is wild. This was my first exposure to Star Trek, by the way.
Oh, my God.
So this was, you said 1986? Mm-hmm. So I was like 6 or 7 years old. And, I mean, I hadn't seen the original series or anything like that. Hadn't seen any of the movies before then. This is an 80s movie based on Earth, right? And with a little comedic elements and everything. So this was my first exposure to it. So when I saw Spock acting like that, I just thought that's how Spock was. And I forgot. I mean, I saw, again, the Search for Spock later on, and I knew that was happening, the whole transferring of souls. But I didn't realize that he wasn't all the way Spock in 4.
Yeah.
Until just probably about now.
Oh, man, I love it. Like, when they're crossing the road and that guy gets mad, says, "You dumbass," and Kirk is like, "Well, a double dumbass on you."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a fish out of water, basically.
By the way, I don't know if we talked about it, but this is a San Francisco as fuck Star Trek.
Yeah. Sure is.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if we did that for California, but it's
true.
It's probably the least space of this entire.
There's not hardly anything in space.
Just the
though.
beginning and the end.
Wow.
Can you tell us where they keep the nuclear vessels?
Part 5 is the abomination out of this group.
Just stick a fork in your eye.
Yeah, Final Frontier. This is Star Trek versus God.
God slash like Kirk's brother. It's like Kirk's Vulcan half brother. I think he.
Oh yeah, I don't even remember that.
I think
what is the deal? It's been forever since I've seen this.
They go off looking for God. They find a guy who puts himself off as God, and I'm pretty sure the ultimate reveal is he's Spock's Vulcan half brother, or Spock's half brother, or Kirk's Vulcan half. I'm going to look this up. It's too good not to. I mean,
this also terrible. This also I remember, and I haven't seen it in forever, but I remember also having some great Shatner.
Oh yeah.
What kind of God would do this?
Yeah.
Is that what makes it so bad? Like, why is this movie so bad?
That's part of it. Part of it is, if you want my honest opinion, I don't want to slander anyone, but I'm pretty sure Shatner was jealous that Nimoy had directed and it had been a hit. And he put his foot down and said, "I want to direct the next one." And it was a failure because it was Shatner. Yeah. And he's Shatner. I think that's pretty much what it is.
He's not known for his directing
He had
prowess.
enough clout as the star, and he was pissed enough about Nimoy getting to direct before him. I actually think there's documentation about some of this, like some kind of memoir somewhere, because they always had a bit of a rocky relationship, Nimoy and Kirk.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think it's bad because Shatner was at the helm. That's really all there is to it.
And then finally, we have out of the original is Part 6, The Undiscovered Country, which is really, I remember this being really good. And like many of these Star Treks, I haven't seen them in forever, but you can probably update us on what this movie.
It's fantastic. I saw it 2 weeks ago. You get all the money in the world playing
Christopher Plummer.
A Shakespeare quoting, he quotes him in the original Klingon, a Shakespeare quoting bad captain who has always wanted to do battle with Kirk, but we are at a peace conference. This is the Klingon moon of energy, Praxis, has exploded, and they have 50 years or they're going to die out, so they have no choice but to make peace with the Federation. One of the reasons I like this movie above all the other original cast is that it finally gives the Klingons their due, and they're not Christopher Lloyd comic foils from the third movie. And so the Chancellor comes and they're going to send Kirk and Spock, and they're going to have peace talks. Only after the first night where they have this meal, torpedoes come from the Enterprise and damage the Klingon ship, and then 2 people in Starfleet space uniforms beam onto the ship and shoot the Chancellor. And then all hell breaks loose, and Kirk and McCoy go over there to try and save the Chancellor, but he dies. Then he get arrested, and they have to go stand trial on Klingon for Klingon murder. And their defending lawyer is Michael Dorn, playing an ancestor of Worf from the Next Generation.
Oh, wow.
They, of course, are convicted. This is a sham trial. And they go to the frozen Klingon moon. Wait, maybe that's Praxis. No, that's Ruropente.
I remember the frozen moon.
That's like a prison colony. While that's going on, Nimoy is now in charge of the Enterprise, trying to get to the bottom of who killed the Chancellor, who framed Kirk for it, and they're obviously trying to stop these peace talks. But Sulu's out there. He's got the Excelsior, the brand new badass ship. He's a captain. Christian Slater works for him.
Yeah.
This is the one with Christian Slater, right?
Yeah. Well, he's only in a silhouette in the doorway for
Isn't
one scene.
Ashley
really?
Judd in this too?
Oh, she may be. She's definitely in an episode of Next Generation.
Okay.
Because she and Will Wheaton have a thing.
Right.
But she may be in this too.
Kim Cattrall is in it.
But that's an interesting thing about, because this is 1991 when Undiscovered Country comes out, and Next Generation had just started. So that is an interesting connection that they threw in there with Michael Dorn and everything.
And,
I remember this having an awesome space battle.
I was just going to say, my favorite. Now, the Wrath of Khan space battle is iconic. No one's going to fault you for choosing that one, where they're both crippled and they go into the nebula and they can't see and they have to kind of think three-dimensionally. It's fucking classic Trek. But this is just an all-out great battle, because what you have here is the mythical Klingon bird of prey that can fire while cloaked. So the Enterprise is getting shot to hell and they don't know where it's coming from. And then Nimoy, Spock, he figures out a way. What about all those equipment we've been carrying to track gaseous anomalies? That's what. That's not. He doesn't say that. Uhura says that. Anyway, love it. My favorite one, start to finish.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it? Where does it rank on all of them?
The J.J. Abrams 2009 Star Trek is the top for me.
Really? Wow. Even for a Trek head like you,
I think that's a better cast than the original cast.
I mean, I think so too, but I don't have.
And
the
I am
background that
all
you do.
up Chris Pine's junk. I'm serious, man. As an actor, he has charmed the fuck out of me or blown my mind every time out. Yeah. I am done acting like anyone else is on his level. So yeah, I think he's really great as Kirk. I love the scene where he takes the quiz and he's got the apple and they're like, "Oh, the Klingons are firing on us, sir. We should raise our shields." He's like, "It'll be okay." Takes a bite of the apple. That one is, and I know a lot of pure Trek people think it's too actiony and too slick. I'm just not one of them. But this one would be right up there. It's First Contact, 2009 Star Trek, and
Undiscovered
Country.
Wow, I got to watch that again then. Because that's high praise, right?
It's good because it has a mystery element, and most Treks don't care about mystery elements, but they have to look for clues and try and figure shit out.
These movies are all so distinct. You know, you've got one that you were saying is boring. You've got two that's so action packed and like almost performance driven, right? And you got three, which is just hot garbage. And you got four that's a comedy. And then 5 is an aberration, but it sounds like 6 is completely distinct
mystery.
too.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, though, once it comes time for Next Generation to have its own movie, that first one sucks too.
Generations.
Yeah, Generations.
Oh, did Shatner direct that one too?
No.
He just insisted he be in it.
Oh, that's
And
right.
that's why
it was
it
David
became
Carson.
a piece of shit. Because he didn't want to he had to pass the torch somehow.
This was one of the early movies I remember internet people getting advance word of what happened.
Oh yeah,
and everything. People were reading the script about how there's a champagne bottle christening the new Enterprise and all that. I remember reading about that back then. And other than that, I don't actually remember anything about that except for there's a thing with Kirk and Picard at the end on a rock.
Yep. He goes, "Oh my!"
Malcolm McDowell is the bad. He's trying to let the ribbon hit him.
Right.
Rock.
Yeah.
Kirk is supposedly in some kind of heaven where he doesn't even know anything's wrong. He's chopping wood with his dog in his Montana cabin in one hand. And Picard shows up like, "You have to help me save the day because the script says so." It's torturous, man. I would almost throw this on the same pile with Insurrection.
Yeah.
Because I think you can watch Nemesis.
I think so too.
I don't think it's great, but I think you can watch that and enjoy it. And certainly First Contact is a home run. But Insurrection and Generations, I don't have any interest in watching them.
Generation, yeah. I mean, I remember enjoying it when I was a kid, which was when I saw it. But going back to it, I bet it would just be like a pile of shit. Yeah.
Now we'll see if they keep going. If they're going to keep flirting with the idea of making another one with this, Chris Pine cast, and then Tarantino keeps every 6 months popping his head up and saying his script.
Yeah, what's the deal with that now?
Last I read 3 weeks ago, he said, "When I get done with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and get that out, I'm going to go back to that script."
Wow. Does all the crew from the original series die in Generations, or is it just Kirk?
They're not all on that ship. And no, Kirk is the only one, I think, that dies and gets sent to Ribbon Dream Dimension. I don't know what the fuck it is.
So those original characters, Spock and Bones and Scotty and all those guys, they continue living during the next generation.
Well,
they're just never...
Yes.
Or doesn't Scotty come back for an episode or something like that? In
Yes,
the next
so does Spock.
Oh, really?
Yes, and the man who played Spock's father in the movies, Sarek, comes back in the next generation for several episodes. And Nimoy shows up as that timeline Spock in J.J. Abrams' alternate timeline Star Trek. He's playing the same character.
That's okay.
Still
okay,
alive.
I gotcha.
Because in Into Darkness, Spock calls him and says, "Did you ever face a man named Khan?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yes, we did." So he's referring to Wrath of Khan.
And did they? Oh yeah, they mentioned in Beyond that he's dead, right?
Wasn't
there a quick mention?
It's like a memorial thing. Yeah, there's a scene where Spock finds out and he's all somber.
Yeah.
So what makes First Contact great?
Oh, sense of adventure.
Yes.
Sense of adventure, and the only movie showcase for Picard, because this has the subtext for him as a character is that he had been kidnapped by the Borg, turned into a Borg, and still has these memories of evil things he did while he was a Borg. And now the Borg are attacking. They've gone back in time to try and delete the very existence of humanity.
That's a great idea.
He's taking it very personally. And there comes that pivotal moment. A line must be drawn here. Where every conventional wisdom says, if we blow up the Enterprise, we win. And he doesn't want to sacrifice that. He wants to beat them his way. And he eventually breaks because Alfred Woodard is a great actress who stands up to him. But up until this movie, none of these Next Generation movies has been any kind of an acting vessel, except for maybe Tom Hardy in Nemesis. And I think maybe that even comes after this movie. I'm not positive. One of them comes after First Contact.
Well, both Insurrection and Nemesis.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But just this, Patrick Stewart just blows it out of the water.
You just told the A story because the B story is all the stuff on Earth where James Cromwell is getting ready to go.
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, he's the guy that invents warp travel that catches the attention of the Vulcans, that creates First Contact on Earth, that leads to the Federation, and he's nothing like they expect. He's a cranky old drunk who doesn't even want to build rockets.
Did they ever have a Q movie?
No.
I think that was probably a big mistake on their part.
I think Generations probably would have been had it not turned into the William Shatner hour.
Yeah.
Because Q was the most notable villain from the show other than the Borg.
The dude who played Jane's dad in Breaking Bad.
John Delancey.
Is Q.
Yeah. What is his deal?
And he would always present them with these puzzles and problems, and
he's all powerful, omnipotent, omniscient, and he likes to toy with Picard.
Interesting.
So he shows up, I think 4 or 5 total episodes. Some are better than others. But there's one where he offers to make one of Picard's crew members a Q, an all-powerful omnipotent. There's one where he's been stripped of his Q-ness by the Q continuum, and so he's just a regular dude, and Picard never trusts him. But the actor, John Delancey, just eats that
he's so awesome.
up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I like that actor. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
He's also the guy who, at the beginning of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's the guy who,
he's the cradle that gets rocked.
He's
the cradle rock.
I don't. And I may have not. I actually may not have seen Insurrection or Nemesis. Now that I think about it. So what makes those horrible?
Which one?
Well,
Insurrection and Nemesis.
I don't really remember much about Insurrection.
I have almost completely forgotten. That's the one with F. Mary Abraham.
Yeah.
I saw it once. Yeah. I hated it that bad. I've seen Generations like 6 times.
I don't even know why it's so garbage, because I don't remember Picard being really in it much.
No, I don't remember much about it at all.
Yeah.
I just remember hating it.
I remember with Nemesis, it was surprising that they even came out with a movie, because they I remember Patrick Stewart coming out and saying, right now we're in the middle of a Star Wars era. We should let those movies come out first before we try to come out with anything else. But smack dab in 2002, when Attack of the Clones comes out, they come out with Nemesis. And I didn't see that one. But that's Tom Hardy in it?
Yeah, you're right. I think it's watchable for
It
sure.
is.
I've seen
Tom
it a few
Hardy's
times.
playing like a clone, younger version of Picard.
Mm-hmm.
So he's playing opposite himself, supposedly. And that's sort of what the Romulans are hoping will be to their advantage, that their leader guy knows Picard from the inside out. And
But they're pitted against each other.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the one I'm almost positive where Data runs and jumps off of part of the ship where the hull has been breached and flies through space to the other ship.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a fantastic moment. Most of Data's run in these movies is hot garbage with his emotion chip that I really don't care much about.
That was in First Contact,
It's
wasn't
in all of them. It starts
started
in
in
Generations.
Does it really?
Geordi's tinkering on it in general. Actually, it starts in the show. It's mentioned on the actual TV show that there's this emotion chip Geordi's working on. And it works its way into the film.
In First Contact, he becomes a Borg, right?
He does, briefly.
Yeah.
And then it's a total fooled you rug pull audience moment.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Because he's all in and then grabs her hand. I was faking. How the fuck do we know?
Finally, 7 years later, they decide to reboot it, and you have the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, which is fantastic. Phenomenal.
I can watch this. This is up there, again, with Force Awakens as like my favorite of the entire series, too. And it has the same elements. It has like a more toothsome presentation. You know what I mean? Like,
I love Eric Bana's character, both the way he talks and portrays the villain, but also the backstory they've given this guy where he had to watch his planet get destroyed.
Yep.
And it's essentially using time travel to go back and punish the people who did it. And there's this part where I think it's Kirk. Somebody says to him, Romulus is still there. Your planet's still there. He's like, no, it's not. I watched it get destroyed. Don't tell me what I didn't see or whatever. Like, so it makes sense that he would be doing all this shit. You got Chris Hemsworth in that, maybe the best opening 10 minutes of any sci-fi movie ever. The music is great. Michael Giacchino comes in with the best Star Trek theme ever.
Yeah.
And then, maybe Into Darkness is a little bogged down in nostalgia, but then Star Trek Beyond breaks out the wacky and takes us to this distant planet, and it's just a really fun
I remember
role.
completely thinking there was no way that Beyond would be fun whatsoever, and was proven highly wrong.
Yeah, Beyond really definitely surprised me. It's such a self-contained story.
Mm-hmm.
You could make a case that, if anything, Into Darkness is too sprawling, right? There's too much going on. And talk about it. You were talking about the economy of Wrath of Khan being under 2 hours. I think Into Darkness is super long.
2.5, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of that stuff could have been shaved off. But the initial one had all that Starfleet stuff and the rise of Kirk and all that. And then Beyond became this really just self-supported story of all, the three different groups on that planet trying to figure out how to get out of here.
It gives us Bones and Spock together for an extended amount of time, which is just always going to be magic.
Yep.
With those characters, no matter who's playing them. But again, I think Carl Urban is just criminally underrated in these movies because he's playing McCoy. He sounds like McCoy, but he's not doing an impression.
That's true, yeah.
It's almost like that kid that plays Solo in the Solo movie.
Right, yeah.
He is that character, even though he doesn't really look like him or sound like him.
And Pine is a 180 from Shatner.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I love Jayla in this. Sophia Boutella has a good character in Beyond. And,
that's Sophia Boutella, right? Yeah,
Sophia Boutella. And then, of course, you can't go wrong with Idris Elba as a bad guy.
Well, unless you cover up his face too much.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, he's featured, but I don't think the movie's about him, really, right?
No, I agree. I think it's more about. Well, I think it's about Kirk. I think it's about Kirk coming to grips with what it really means to be a captain.
Yeah.
In a way, what all the movies are about, but especially that one.
And holy shit, you talk about being wrong about the expectations for this movie. I thought that sabotage scene was going to be fucking disastrous.
Mm-hmm.
It's so awesome.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
It doesn't have any business working as well as it does, but it works really, really well.
So, are they going to continue to make these?
Well, that's the thing. It's up in the air.
I know Tarantino's project is like a different project,
it would be
right?
as I understand it, there was a script written by someone that's not Tarantino, and there was a script written by Tarantino, and they're considering making both, and both are for this cast.
Interesting.
Tarantino definitely wrote a script for this cast.
But then there's some contract disputes.
Contract stuff
right?
is what happened with Hemsworth and Pine.
The original
it was Pine,
idea
too?
was they were going to do another time travel thing to let Kirk pal around with his dad because Hemsworth was so fucking good.
Man. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Hemsworth is too expensive now, and now they all are. So it'd be curious to see where they go.
Well, I hope they do keep making movies because this cast is fucking awesome.
I know.
Yeah,
And I hope J.J. Abrams did the third one, right?
Yeah.
No, it was Justin Lin.
Oh, yeah, Justin Lin.
Yeah.
But he did the first. Abrams did the first.
Yeah,
two.
he did the first two.
I'll watch these anytime they come out.
Yeah.
I want them to make 6 of them like they did, the original series.
Yeah. We'll probably have room for one more big franchise on this one, and that is the Alien franchise.
Bum, bum, bum.
Alien came out in 1979 along with Star Trek the motion picture, and this is how you make a fucking suspenseful movie. We've talked about Alien a bunch on this podcast, but this is probably what motion picture should have been. Star Trek the motion picture should have tried at least a little, like, not make an Alien movie, but make something that's like better than that.
It's space as fuck too.
Yes, it is.
I was thinking the other day it'd be fun to try and debate and discuss what our favorite spaceship names are in movies, because there's some cool ones and then there's some lame ones. Like,
What is the one in Alien?
You would think I would know that, having been the guy that just brought that up.
I know it.
I know
It's
it too.
it's super.
Well, actually, I know the second one more because they keep talking about it.
Nostromo. No.
No, that sounds right. The first movie.
Yes, Nostromo. Because she gets in a different spaceship at the end, right? Or is she in the same one? No, it's got to be the same one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same thing that she wakes up in at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I mean, how simple is this, right? I mean, you have this, you have just this alien that they've unwittingly brought on board, and it's systematically it's a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Totally.
But it's just that movie is just so suspenseful and great, and then the sequel becomes an actiony thing, and it's just as it's up on par. It's not better than Alien, but it's on par. It's interesting that they went that way in the sequel. But,
yeah.
Alien.
So this is Ridley Scott's second movie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I figured he had done stuff before this.
He's so
a lot of
he's
stuff.
so prolific now that it seems like he should have made like a ton of movies by this point.
He gave an interview a couple days ago and basically said he's definitely making a third movie in his Alien prequel trilogy.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I almost tweeted, yay. Like, who's he making this for? After Prometheus and Alien Covenant, how many are left?
I guess he doesn't read reviews.
Well, I mean, and more power to him. If he wants to just follow his passions, that's fine. But that's not a movie I would think the studio would be super excited about.
God, those movies are
this
awful.
movie, this franchise, almost, well, they tried to do the Mission Impossible thing, right? Because you started out with Ridley, then you get James Cameron to do the second one. The third one, you get Fincher. And the fourth one, you have Jean-Pierre Jeunet. And, there was a stretch there where, I know the last two aren't great movies, probably because of studio meddling.
Yeah.
Although Alien Resurrection is really watchable.
Oh, I totally like Alien Resurrection.
Oh, really? I don't.
Really? It's nowhere near the first two, obviously.
I
but
can't get through 3 at all.
Fincher has said that it's totally, and seems like a guy that would be honest about this. He said it was totally studio meddling.
Oh yeah.
It was so studio meddling that he almost didn't do Fight Club because that was Fox.
It was the same studio.
Yeah.
And an interesting time back then with Alien 3 because Fincher was off. He was a music video director. He directed the Madonna Vogue video and
Beauty's where you find it.
Yeah,
which is a great video.
That's why you started getting Michael Bay and all those, because MTV music video directors were like huge.
Yeah,
like a way to kind of get a cheap but experienced person.
Even Spike Jonze came out of music videos.
Is Fincher and Jones the only good ones that came out of that?
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, we got to wait on Hiro Murai.
There's probably a few out there that are better than.
No,
does that
the corollary to Spike? Michelle Gondry.
Oh, yeah.
Was a music video.
What about
director.
girl? Does that Hannah Lux Davis? Does she make any movies?
I think she's made TV, and she may have made a movie, but she's fucking everywhere.
That's why
man.
I was wondering if she was going to make the jump.
Why is Aliens an acceptable sequel to Alien? I know that Cameron is definitely on his game at this point. He'd just come off the Terminator.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I solved it.
Okay.
Same thing as Terminator 2. It's the helpless damsel in distress from the first movie is now an experienced badass that don't give no shits about your talkback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
isn't Ripley... She's the thing that ties those first two movies
She's
together.
the one taking charge in
Yeah.
this one, and they introduced the sort. And in the first one, they kind of hint at the corporate nature that's going on. It's. I mean, I guess it's more than a hint, but it's not as overt as in the second one where you have Paul Reiser.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, he is so despicable in this movie.
Yeah.
So perfectly cast too, because he was like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah. The first one, you don't really understand the corporate nature of everything until is it Bishop? It's not Bishop. Bishop's in the second one.
No, the Ian Holm character.
Ian Holmes.
Ash.
Yeah, Ash.
Isn't his name Ash?
He
Yeah, I
might
think
be
so.
Ash.
Yeah, it's Ash.
All right.
All right, cool. Not until they bust him up that he starts talking about hey, we meant to bring this thing back and study it and make money on it and all that. But in Aliens, Paul Reiser is the guy who's like sitting there going, yeah, we're totally going to be safe about this, Ripley, and everything.
Yeah.
What a
And he's
stupid
such a
fucking
scumbag.
idea. Yeah, he's a scumbag. And I guess he's kind of overtly a scumbag at the beginning, but you don't know how bad it is until he gets on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They bring it on board, and I'm pretty sure Ripley is like, we can't keep this thing on board, and Reiser's like, and there's so many things that we need to look at into this thing. This is a new species and all that, and but Aliens is more action oriented. It's remember how we talked about Rambo got that way? This is how Aliens got.
Yeah.
But it was more acceptable for this to have there's something about how Cameron does this action that's way better than what whoever did the Rambo movies later did.
I think
it's not just action.
Right. No, the characters, I mean, you could say Bill Paxton's character isn't like fully realized or anything like that. But Ripley, I mean, she's got all kinds of character arcs. She's scared and traumatized at the beginning. She has that crazy dream sequence, and then like she becomes empowered, and
Then she becomes maternal.
she becomes maternal. Like she's got a very, very deep arc in this movie, more so than before or after.
Although it has been brought up, I think we even put it in the Sims video, but the fact that she doesn't have to go down there and flamethrow the ship is going to self-destruct.
Yes. And in seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not like she doesn't have like 15. Well, maybe she does have 15 minutes, but
She
doesn't
didn't have
a long
much time. And once she finds Newt, she needs to get the fuck out of there. Yeah.
And that leads to, I mean, you still have another like 20 minutes or so after that whole destruction.
Because after she does that, then of course the Queen comes after her and
rips Bishop in half.
Yeah, which I remember I may have told this story before, but I was at Tennessee Tech in a pop culture class, and we were looking for phallic symbols and just general symbolism in the movie Aliens, and of course there's a lot.
Well, from the spaceship alone,
There's
right?
spaceship. There's the way Ripley holds a cigarette, how the ash is like hanging down like a penis. There's the aliens themselves, which have the vagina mouths, and
penis heads,
and the penis heads, and
penis heads and vagina,
and so like when the alien comes and kills Bishop, there's these two people who were talking about this for 5 minutes before it actually came up. but that as soon as the alien kills Bishop, they were like, Queen kills Bishop. Thanks, guys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Chess humor is the best.
That's right. Yeah, and I haven't seen Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection in a long time. Alien 3 was the first time I saw one of the aliens in a movie theater, though.
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we all had the same experience of seeing Aliens before Alien, right?
I did, for sure.
I believe I saw mine in reverse order. So I saw Alien 3, then Aliens, then
Oh, okay. So you didn't even see Aliens before?
No. And then I saw Alien Resurrection. I was working in movie theaters at the time, and just that movie's awful. And then Prometheus, and man, I feel like there's a great, and not to be a pun, but a great genesis of an idea here for that, but it's just too abstract and too hard to handle what he's going for.
Well, and plus Ridley Scott has now become the action movie equivalent almost of like James Cameron, right? So he's got these great ideas. I agree with you, but he can't explore because he's got to make time for the actiony bits, right? And the gross out stuff and the stomach uterus bursting shit, right?
Yeah.
And scientists continue just to do stupid shit, man. Yeah, like this, and of course Fantastic Four had that new Fantastic Four had all that, like, hey, we're in an alien world, let's touch the shit
with our bare hands.
Yeah, let's touch all this stuff. Why not? And then they wonder why things go wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Alien Covenant. God, it's a slog and a half.
I don't
man.
even understand that movie.
Yeah.
I watched it like a time and a half just because I just wanted to see. Yeah, it's confusing. I was confused.
It is confusing. It's like you got Danny McBride in there, and it's like, do we want this to be? He's not funny at all,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like he's known for his dramatic chops either.
Mm-hmm.
So. Catherine Watterson, God bless her, is really, really. I think she's trying, but I don't think she comes off as weird in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't. It feels aimless. These two movies. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, and I just haven't gotten it. But it just they seem aimless. Like there's no. Where are we trying to get to here? Are we trying to get to the fact that this is the origin of the alien? Okay, I don't really need to know that.
I don't care. Is it Prometheus or is it Covenant where the Guy Pearce character gets killed? It's Covenant because Michael Fassbender is playing two roles.
Mm-hmm.
No,
right?
It's the first one because the thing rips David's head off and then kills Guy Pearce. Is he in Covenant?
I think that's Covenant that you're thinking about, right?
No, because they go into
The Fassbender double character is Covenant.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm saying they meet the big giant gray man at
That
the
is
end
Prometheus
of Prometheus,
because
and he rips the android's head off and then kills Guy Pearce.
Because Rooney Mara brings his head up into the ship at the end of Prometheus, right?
Yes, because that's
and
how she flies.
Numi Rapace.
Numi Rapace.
What did
did
he
I
say?
Rooney Mara.
Oh,
I
wow.
got the girl with the dragon
I literally,
tattoos.
but I mean, I really did just go right to the face of the girl you were talking about, though. That's crazy.
Wow,
that
that's
is
weird.
crazy. I never thought about that before. They're very similarly
Of
named.
course, yeah, man.
But yeah, there's really only there's two good movies out of the series.
The first two.
Yeah.
I like Resurrection. It's nowhere near the first two. Resurrection is the one with Winona Ryder.
Yep.
And Rock, right?
No, it's got Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman. No, not the Rock. The guy that was in the TV show Rock.
Oh, he's in 3.
He's in 3.
And he's on the prison one.
Charles Dutton.
Yeah.
You're talking,
That's the prison one. Is
Yeah.
3. Okay, yeah.
The Resurrection is the one with all the clones. Ripley's got long hair, and she finds that room of all the deformed Ripley babies in the tubes that gave me nightmares.
Yes.
And yeah, Winona Ryder is that movie's token android.
Yeah. Jean-Pierre Jeunet, he did City of Lost Children, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did he do Amelie, or was that?
Yes.
He's got a good record.
Yes.
I mean, you could say...
He's a visually striking director. He's got a lot of good movies on his resume.
And that's what I remember most about Resurrection is the imagery. Like, it looks like he was able to kind of do
Doesn't
his own
it
thing.
end with her crashing the ship into Earth on purpose to kill her child alien that she loves?
Yes.
I
That's what I
thought she jumps down into some like lava or some shit.
That's 3, isn't it?
Is that 3?
I think that's 3 because
She's
out-
pregnant.
Yeah, it
That's
comes
3.
out right
That's
as
3?
she comes down. Yes,
The 3 or 4 blend together so much.
because she's dead at the end of 3, and they clone her for resurrection.
That's
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
repeatedly.
But then she dies again in
Okay.
resurrection.
Okay.
Repeatedly getting it wrong, cloning her. Yes.
Yeah.
And then, but then there's like some kind of offspring that looks like Groot
Right.
that she's on the ship with at the end there, right?
I
And
think
if
so.
they like, I want to say they have like a. Do they kiss or something? There's some kind of moment there that's creepy and weird. Right
I don't
before
know.
the
I've,
end.
I've got to look at it.
I'm gonna have to
again.
Google it when I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
home and then jerk off to it.
Yes.
I am Groot.
I know there are people out there who love Prometheus and Alien Covenant, though. There are people out there who are really excited about the prospect of this story finishing and everything, because there is a whole bunch of meaning that he's trying to convey that I never have really connected to whatsoever.
What is it?
Like just the beginnings of life and the origins of all this.
The mutations of our darkest nature.
Right. I mean, we're led to believe that the alien is sort of a hybrid human / grease spot thing, right? Like it's
The stuff the dude vomits up at the beginning of Prometheus?
Yeah,
Yes.
and that they've put in an incubator of some sort, and we're responsible for this species happening.
Oh. Yeah, because he's the proto-human, right? That's the one that Guy
Mhm.
Pearce wakes up in Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's sort of that, philosophical meaning of life type of thing going on with it or whatever. But I just never have gotten into it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe once he comes out with that last one, maybe all of them will make total sense to me. And
I did like the Fassbender stuff in Covenant,
Mhm.
actually. The stuff where he's interacting with himself or his clone, I thought was very interesting. I didn't like the way it turned out, but whatever.
yeah. I think they and I know we're going back and forth here, but I know that with Alien 3, I think they immediately got behind the 8 ball on that one because they set it on this prison colony and they were like, no weapons.
Yeah.
And I remember being 15 going, no weapons? The fuck kind of alien movie is this? Piece of shit.
Yeah, no kidding.
Weapons.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe a little bit of time to do 2001, 2010, and then we can wrap it up.
I'm down with that.
We've talked about 2001 a million times, and that movie seems like gets better and better for me every time I watch it.
It does. It does.
And it could be, watching that in IMAX was
Oh, yeah.
such a great experience. That's probably part of the reason, but also just I've talked about the hidden enhancement of subtitles that movies and TV shows can provide a lot of times, because you can go and watch a movie a lot of times and just, oh yeah, I like that movie or I like that show, and then you didn't realize some of the things that they were saying. And that segment of dude going to the moon base or whatever that base is that they go to before he's just telling everybody that, we can't tell you what's going on the moon yet. That whole conversation, like I used to watch it and going, yeah, whatever. And just realize that there was so much more important information going on there than I originally thought.
What, because does it help to clarify the cover up?
A little bit,
more?
because I didn't know. It's easy to get a lot of these characters confused. Some of these characters look the same to me. So when that guy comes on and he's like, he's talking to those people, and the people are like, we hear there's a whole bunch of stuff going on at the moon and whatever, and he's like, he's being very coy. I can't tell you anything about it. I thought he was, the Keir Dullea, astronaut that got on later
Bowman.
on.
Yeah.
Because I just assumed he was. I never really paid much attention and just didn't realize he's just a government guy coming up to give everybody an update about what's going on. And There's just a lot more to it that in that little section.
It is, you know what? It is helpful to know all that because the dialogue is a little muddled and all that stuff. Because if you don't know that or not clear on that, there's no explanation for Hal's behavior later on. It has to translate. It's weird because this movie is 3 movies in one, basically, right? You got the apes, and then you got the moon base, and then you got the Hal stuff. And each informs the other, especially, with the significance of the monolith at the end, which I think explains the whole psychedelic trip Earth Baby thing at the end, too.
Yeah.
Psychedelic Trip Earth Baby.
That's my new rock band.
That's a great name for a band.
But once it does get on the ship and everything, I mean, that's what everybody remembers, and it's and of course everybody remembers the very beginning with the apes and everything. But like that part right there is something that I just sort of let slide by because of the dialogue being muffled and just like I don't really need to know this. I know that just shit goes wrong when they get on the ship, and
yeah, you also get distracted by the visuals and the Blue Danube, right? Because you've got this beautiful waltz. Strauss, I think, is who did it. And then those practical effects of the ships, which I bet in IMAX are just eye-popping because even just on a regular screen, they're gorgeous. And it was 61, 62?
No, it's 68, 67, 68, somewhere around there. But I got a whole lot more enjoyment out of it watching it with subtitles because I finally figured out what that guy was there for. And what he was doing, and that he wasn't one of the astronauts on the ship later. Now, 2010, I saw in theaters, and that's the last time I saw it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw it once, like 3 years ago. I don't remember anything except Roy Scheider's in it.
Yeah, Roy Scheider, John Lithgow. Who is the girl in that? Or the woman, I guess I should say. The woman. Oh, Helen Mirren. That's right.
Oh, wow.
And Bob Balaban is in this, too.
Huh.
This is a good movie.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
I remember it being okay. I mean, and I was I 7 when this came out in 1984?
Yeah.
Peter Hyams of Time Cop fame directed this.
Yep.
And I just remember yes, there's that great scene where Peter Hyams shows his boobs. But no, I don't remember much except the all of these worlds are yours except for Europa or something like that keeps showing up. And my God, it's full of stars. My God, it's full of stars.
Yeah, that's how. What is it? It's Bowman. So Bowman shows back up. He's become incorporeal, right? As the Star Child. I call it Space Baby or whatever, or Earth Baby. And so he lives within the monolith, I believe, and he's able to transmit his being to different places, including his wife and all that stuff. And he visits, these guys that are going out to pull the ship back to see what happened on Jupiter, basically, because they don't know what happened. And so he's interacting with them, and I think he's the one that sends that message back to Earth. Oh, yeah, and then the monoliths start, multiplying and stuff like that. They're trying to create a new world and try to restart life or in a different universe. It's got, obviously not the ideas and the craziness that the first one had. It has more tangible action stuff, but it's really, really good. It's also Arthur C. Clarke wrote the sequel, and this is based on that. They didn't do it at the same time like Key and Peele did.
Didn't he end up writing about 4 or 5 of these?
Oh man, I've read the first one. I haven't read the second one, but I saw the movie. The movie's really good. This is something that's worth revisiting.
I actually have decided just in this conversation to go back to it because when I saw it a couple years ago, I wasn't giving it any time of day. I was just kind of glancing at it every now and then because it's always been in my mind for no good reason as a far inferior movie.
Yes.
And it may not be as good, but that to me always meant not good.
I had the same thing. I went back and watched it, fairly recently. Yeah. And because you'd always see this on Blockbuster, you'd always see 2001, which is almost always rented out. And you'd see 3 copies of 2010. And I don't think it made a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
But yeah, it's very, very good, and Roy Scheider's really good in it. John Lithgow's really good in it.
Scheider's good.
He ended up writing 2061, Odyssey 3, and 3001, The Final Odyssey.
Well, that's interesting because this is subtitled "The Year We Make Contact" because they've, in the first one, we don't really know what the interaction is with the alien beings, right? It's just the monolith. He goes in and becomes transformed. And that's it. In this one, we actually literally make contact with them through the conduit of the monolith. And so I could see this story kind of progressing. And by 3000 whatever, maybe, intelligent life has now been birthed in this new universe.
Yeah. So obviously, space is big, really big.
Yes.
You may think it's a long way to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space, as Douglas Adams wrote. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Keep going to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook, SoundCloud, Cinemasins Twitter, Discord. May have to give you an invite to that. There's a bunch of ways to come and talk about this very episode, and I'm sure we will be talking a lot about space because we didn't even get through the initial list that we thought we were. Because once you get into those franchises, you really have to go deep into them and everything. And the Star Wars and Star Trek, I mean, honestly, you could make a whole podcast of content,
each of those movies.
Years and years of content for that.
Yeah.
So we tried to condense that into an hour and a half, those two franchises.
Well, and we don't always talk about the specific. We talk about franchises a lot, but we don't talk about the specific movies. I don't think we've ever gone in depth about Search for Spock or something like that. Or even Attack of the Clones, you know. So yeah, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. But we'll be going more into space the next time. We'll be trying to get as much space as we can into this motherfucker.
I'm gonna fuck the space.
Yes. That'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
How'd you like Booksmart?
Really liked it. I think it's a movie that suffers from expectations. The movie is so super bad. I mean, there's so many things about actual beats of that movie are super bad.
And that's Jonah Hill's sister, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure that girl is Jonah Hill's sister.
Okay. Because
not Beanie Feldstein, the other one?
No. The one you just said.
Yeah, Beanie Feldstein, the one who's
She's Jonah Hill's sister?
I could be wrong. I mean, thank God we're not official right now, and I'm not fucking anything up if we don't want to use this. But I'm almost positive I read that she was, because I remember thinking, one more thing that makes it seem like super bad.
Well, yeah, she plays siblings Jonah Hill.
There you go. Pulled that out of my ass.
Holy shit!
Thank you, Internet.
I had no clue about that.
You know what? I'm going to wait to see this movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be fucking shamed into seeing it open weekend by a bunch of famous people.
They are kind of doing I understand what you're saying, but
I know I'm being a little bit of a prickly pear. I recognize that.
I've never seen anything like that.
I haven't either.
Justification.
There's a certain amount of even Olivia Wilde's tweet, while I want to support the filmmaker, was almost hinting that if I didn't go see it, I don't support women filmmakers. Yeah. And that's clearly not what my life is about. It's not how I make my decisions. And then there were people shaming people who were seeing Endgame for a fifth time to try and get it above Avatar instead of spending that time and money on something original like Booksmart. I'm also hey, banging the gong about original movie ideas for about 5 years now.
No shit. Yeah.
Don't throw that shit in my face.
Yeah.
I got you.
Anyway, I want to see it. I heard it's good.
It is very good.
That movie's a mood more than it's raucous, hilarious comedy. Because at first I was like, okay, just a whole bunch of let's see how many oh really, the high school girls speak that way type of things happening in it. And then once it starts getting into the sort of the party to party thing that they're doing in this, I started really getting into it. And it's not because it was just so hilarious. It was just that I was getting into the story of it and everything.
Yeah, the story's fantastic.
And there's a guy in here who's in Santa Clarita Diet. His name's Skylar Gazondo.
He's Jonah Hill's sister.
The over eager guy, right?
Yeah. And he's in Santa Clarita Diet. He's got excellent comic timing. He does. He is so good. I want to see more of this guy, but he's really funny in it. And there's a lot of just like, secondary characters that help this movie out.
All the secondary characters. And I tweeted about it, but like this is like the most casually diverse movie I think I've ever seen, because nobody's just a straight white person except for Beanie Feldstein, really, right? Because it's like gay people, black people, Hispanic people, like everybody is a different type of person, except for maybe Billy Lord is in this. Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Oh wow!
She has some of the biggest laughs of the movie. She's fantastic in it.
I know that on Twitter, like everybody wanted to talk about the murder mystery party that they go to.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I felt like they could have done more with that.
I think so too. Yeah, because they're in and out pretty quick.
They're in and out pretty quick. I felt like it would have been pretty awesome if they had explored that and like actually played the game and all that. They do make that's the the drug trippy scene where they're they're the claymation characters or whatever, but or the dolls.
Yeah.
But and it's pretty funny, but I just thought it would have been better if they like just gone full bore into that murder mystery party.
There's one of the funniest parts, I'm not going to spoil it for Jeremy, but one of the funniest parts is one character's interpretation of You Ought to Know at karaoke.
Oh, God, that is great.
I heard the karaoke was funny.
I laughed my ass off at this movie. I thought it was awesome. That's like one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, so you thought it was hilarious.
Oh, he loved it.
I mean, I didn't laugh as much as I would laugh at Superbad. And I found, especially at the first part of it. But yeah, like you said, like as soon as it really gets going, like, yeah, I found it very, very funny.
I think Dice was conflicted based on his tweets.
Really?
I think the only tweet I read was something along the lines of, my thoughts about this movie are complicated.
Wonder what that means.
I don't know.
Maybe
it means he hates lesbians.
I think that's what it means.
It definitely means that he hates lesbians.
And that's okay. That's okay. We live in a day and age where it's okay to do that.
I'm in Lesbians with you.
Yes.
Oh, you know what I caught the other day, which I hadn't seen in forever, is Adventureland.
Oh, it's been running a lot. It's good.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I loved that movie. But I've never really agreed with you on the Kristen Stewart thing. Like, obviously she's beautiful, but like, I'm not like super attracted to her. But in this movie, besides like the weird distracting hair thing that she's always doing, she is flat out gorgeous in this movie.
Well, she's more attractive than the girl they hype up.
Yeah, Lisa P.
as like Barbie. I always forget Martin Starr's in this movie.
Oh yeah, man! Fucking Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
I forgot Ryan Reynolds was in this.
It's good.
Yeah, it was the guy. Wasn't it? It's who was the director? It was the guy who did Pineapple Express, right?
Greg Mottola, wasn't
It was Greg Mottola.
Yeah, he did
Superbad,
didn't he? Yeah. I believe that was it.
I think he did Pineapple Express.
Is that before or after he married Mariah Carey? That's a Tommy Mottola joke there.
Yeah.
No, but that movie rules.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't like it because some weird anti-Jeremy part of me is angry about the way it ends, even though it ends the way Jeremy would typically like.
The very ending? Where he shows up in New York?
Well, he shows up and there's like sort of a hint. But for the most part, they don't end up together. Now, the story doesn't end with them together.
Yes, it does.
It does?
It ends with them having sex.
In New York?
Yeah.
Oh, then I must have not watched it all the way to the end.
It is a totally a coda at the end.
Because they break, like she leaves and it's all sad and pouty and everybody's angry.
Yeah, and then he goes to New York.
My only issue with this movie is like halfway through it, I'm like, wait, are they 16? And then they go to a bar and casually drink beer.
No,
And
he's
I'm like,
after college.
They're
so-
like college age, but they all look 16.
They do. They do.
They all look 16.
Yeah.
That scene when she makes out with Ryan Reynolds, I don't know exactly how uncomfortable they wanted it to be.
It looks like they're probably, I don't know what their age difference is.
About
but
14 years.
It looks like that.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Good movie, though.
You know what I like about this movie is Jesse Eisenberg is playing his nerdy role, but not as nerdy. Like, he's suave in this movie. Like, you could totally see him getting, the hot girls and stuff like that. Like, he dials it back a little bit. It's not just that nervous stammering thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. That was my recommend if we were going to do a recommend today.
I got Greg. It's because when they all get into these Apatow movies, it gets confusing. But Greg Mottola did Superbad and he did Adventureland, but it was David Gordon Green who did Pineapple Express.
And that Halloween from last year.
Yeah,
I just watched this movie.
Oh, you watched it?
Okay, so it just came on HBO Saturday. I know we've sinned it. I haven't seen the movie yet. Okay, but
we haven't seen it.
We haven't sinned it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I know we haven't sinned it yet. But all I have in my head was that trailer, which had the hint of a very long tracking shot of murder and mayhem in a neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I see Halloween on HBO. I told my wife, after 7 o'clock, I'm out. I'm watching this movie. I'm ready. I don't even like horror. But these guys making this movie, I'm hyped. I'm expecting that to open the film.
Yeah.
Like the one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It so doesn't.
Oh, yeah?
It's so. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 40 minutes of boring retread
Yep.
crap. And I go to Finley from Modern Horrors on Twitter, and I was like, I thought this movie was going to be good. And he was like, why? And I said, that trailer was awesome. And he was like, no, this movie's terrible.
Well, no, plus not just that, but everybody in the world was saying how good it was.
Yeah.
And then I went to go see it, and I was like, I like the ending.
Yeah.
I thought the ending was kind of cool.
So you didn't like it at all?
I was frustrated. Honestly, I didn't watch the ending. I got 3/4 of the way through, 2/3 of the way through it. It took so long for fucking Michael Myers to show up.
Oh, really?
It's like discount Sir Davos for 30 minutes. It's like the way they shoot him, it's like a gray-headed, balding guy who's never quite in focus. And he murders people in the bathroom and whatnot on this.
They show him without the mask?
Well, yeah, but not like his face, but yeah. Like, he doesn't put the
Interesting.
mask on until like 35 minutes into the movie.
Wow. And you didn't like it either?
No.
What? Didn't Danny McBride write that?
Mm-hmm.
Or co-wrote or whatever?
He co-wrote it with, it may have been with David Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green.
Wow. That's annoying.
It's been a long time since I was so hyped for a movie that was such a letdown.
Yeah, it is weird because you had that early critical lauding, and then after it came out, everybody pretty much said, "I don't like it."
Well, I went into it like the way I went into it, thinking I was going to love it because everybody said such good things about it. But whereas it was awesome, this was not.
It's all wordless. McBride is looking at Goggins. Goggins doesn't know that he's looking at him, and he's putting all this 2 and 2 together and everything while this song's playing.
That's a pretty intense song.
And then it gets to it's the next to last episode of the entire series. It was only 2 seasons.
That's a comedy show though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
But they had I guess serious. This was the most serious moment of the entire.
I
but
like
that song
a lot.
played during it, and I was just like, oh my god, I gotta have this song.
Song rules.
We already knew that. That's why we got you on this Barry podcast.
That's right, baby.
Big twist. Big twist.
Mike has been a podcaster the entire time.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I run into every time. I'll sit there be yelling at the cats about something, and it's like just reverberating around and everything. And I walk in here for whatever reason, and I'm like, all right, you stay. Whoa, wait a minute.
It's walking into the cone of silence. Did you ever watch Get Smart?
Mm-hmm.
That was a show that had the cone of silence, right?
Yeah.
Where he would talk to his wife or partner. Is it?
I think it's his
they were in
partner. I
bed.
know that in the movie that he goes into the cone of silence. But I think it's just I'm trying to think how many times he does it though. He does it one time where they promote him, And he's like, "Oh my God, this is the best day of my life!" And I think they can actually hear him.
Was that movie any good?
I sort of enjoyed it.
Was it Anne Hathaway that was the Penny? I think is his partner.
I don't know.
They made a movie with the Don Adams character that I used to watch. It was one of those like VHS movies that we had around when I was a kid, and I loved it, man. I loved the show too.
You know, I know I watched the show, but that was one of those shows that I watched the intro more than I watched the show because the intro was so fun. Yeah, he's going through all these big hallways and like there's all that weird shit he's got to do to get inside. And I think they change the gag every time where he would walk in and it would either be an elevator or he'd fall straight through or something else would happen.
Yeah, that was a funny ass show. I don't know what else Don Adams did.
Neither.
Because he's probably in like a million movies from the 50s and 60s and shit like that, but he had such a
would you believe a Boy Scout on roller skates?
Missed it by that much.
Yeah, the stuff he's known for, he was is not very well known.
Yeah, he was really good.
But Anne Hathaway played Agent 99.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'm thinking
Penny was Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, Inspector Gadget.
So I flipped off a panhandler today.
Yeah? That sounds about right.
It's the 4th week in a row that he's delayed me. And he was talking to this woman in front of me. He comes up, I don't know what his shtick is, but he hands you a card, like some kind of placard card, like a 3x5 card with Jesus notes on it or something.
Right.
And she turns, I can tell she's looking in her purse. Light goes green. She doesn't budge. I hit my horn once. She starts to go. He stops her. I can't hear him, but the gestures basically said, you don't have to go just because he's impatient.
Wow.
So I laid on the horn. And she finally got flustered and took off. And as I went by, I flipped that motherfucker off.
Yeah. I think it's funny that people think that their shit is so much like it's not a big deal to hold up 10 to 12 people in traffic because you have some message or need money.
That's the thing, though. I wouldn't flip off just like a guy who came up to me out of nowhere in a parking lot and asked me for money.
Yeah.
This is a professional. This is 5 weeks in a row he's been here. He has the same shtick. He started out annoying me because he's one of these guys who walks right up to your car.
Oh, fuck that.
And makes you tell him no.
Yeah.
And that is already a sin of like society.
Mm-hmm.
Next time, I'm just going to start with the flip off. I don't really care. I don't care if you want to hide behind your Jesus shirt, but Jesus does not approve of what you're doing in any respect, especially holding up people because you want a few dollars.
There's a sort of a rule too that I have where if I have to stop and if a person in the second lane also has to stop for somebody to get out,
oh God,
I don't do it.
No, me neither.
I will block you because the communication between me and another car is not going to happen.
Yeah,
that other car is going to have to figure it out on their own, and there's only a few times where I will actually do that. If the car that's farthest away is already stopped, okay. Maybe I'll do it then. But most of the time it's like, I'm sorry, dude, you have to, especially down by 46th Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
Where the people are coming out of that. Time. And I'm like, you could have gotten out the other way. And
there's another
way.
Yeah.
There's people who try to turn left into that motherfucker too. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you could have gotten to the traffic light and turned and gotten into that building. You didn't have to turn right at that spot. Mm-hmm. You know you don't have to do that. Yeah. That's what pisses me off about you, and I'm not going to let you in.
No, and honestly, those motherfuckers that are the first, even when traffic's flowing, to be like, I'm going to stop in the middle of the road to let this person turn out, those people are just as bad as the turnarounder.
Well, the point is...
You're trying to be nice, but you're being the devil.
The point is, you're doing this for one person, and you're screwing everybody behind you to do it.
And you're also encouraging this person and others like them to do this again in the future. You set the precedent because, someone will let me out.
Yeah.
Someone will let me. It's Tennessee. Yeah. Someone will let me out. Yeah, they will. And I will hate them for it.
Even though I have hit 100 once.
Yeah.
In my life.
Well, hey,
But
we all have to.
I'm too scared.
Really?
I'm a big weenie.
Dude, seriously, I hit that 100 and I was like, okay, never again.
Yeah, I don't do it
I
anymore.
imagine it would be like that one time I fired a gun, where it'd be like, okay, did it, I'm done. Hit the brakes. Where's that parachute behind my car to slow me down? I don't want to go triple digit speeds.
Yeah,
I'm not Ricky Bobby.
I don't want to go fast. Flaming Lips.
Yeah. Flaming Lips, Violent Femmes, same fucking thing.
You know, there's so many stories that Wayne Coyne, the lead singer from Flaming Lips, he talks constantly about like all the drugs that they used to do together, because she did it was Flaming Lips and the Heavy Fuens or something like that she was on. And Wayne Coyne's like, yeah, we used to get naked all the time. Like, Miley would just get naked and go, hang out at the Hollywood sign or something like that.
Like, I think it's okay that Liam took a little while to get okay with all that.
It took him a while?
They broke up.
Oh, I didn't realize
during
that.
all this. They
were going out before then?
Yeah.
They've been dating for that long? They've been dating forever then.
Like, in fact, when they broke up, the rumors were that, like, all this hypersexualization and all the drugs and all the pink armpit hair was kind of turning him off. All the things that were turning me on were turning him off. When I did the narration for that Old Town Road, I sent it in to the guys, and I called it Lil Nas X and Hot Girl's Dad.
Nice. Luckily, that's not the case for Jordan Vogt Roberts.
Yeah.
But it was with my dad.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that's really the story of all of us, right?
I'm joking, by the way. That was just a dark joke for the sake of humor.
She actually did. I think she did the We Can't Stop video.
Oh, really?
She's done a Miley video before.
That's not the Naked Sledgehammer one, is it?
No, that's
Wrecking Ball. I don't remember what the We Can't Stop video was.
It was the house party where she's like humping a rabbit and shit, and like.
See, it sounds like I should have watched that.
She's
more.
in the pool, and oh yeah, you should definitely watch it. That's prime Miley.
I was in the pool.